Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. Two of the big ones. We got PEDs and we got a couple shortstop situation and a couple weeks from baseball. Let's do it. Players only. Players only. Bello. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Make sure you download the app. Use code Talkin, $20 off your first purchase. You could go see Mookie Betts play shortstop. You cannot go see Noelvi Marte for a little bit in Cincy. You might be able to see Joey Votto in the Great North, and you might be able to see Brayan Bello twirling the pill in Boston for the next little bit. Download the SeatGeek app. #1 rated ticketing app, 70,000 events, and with code Talkin, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Coach Trev, Beebs, Jamalope, little spring training action, big weekend, some family stuff he's dealing with. He's good. He's good. He'll be back. Trev, you're back out west. How are you?
I'm doing great, Poppy. Shout out to James. Miss you, bud. This is going to be an interesting show for us because prior to the show, Jake, everyone was mad at me or is mad at me. So we're going to see how we can get through that on this show. This is going to be a testament to our friendship, I think, right here. How this episode plays out. I think we can get through it, man.
See, disagree.
I really do.
Our friendship's been ruined. But we're professionals.
That's not true.
We're doing a show. So that's, when we're on the field, it's A-Rod Jeter, It's
No, it's not. Who's A-Rod?
I think Trev and Jake really hate each other.
What's this guy? What are these guys' deals?
I just can't stand
like
him.
A-Rod than I'll ever admit.
Oh, now we're talking. We'll get into that.
I think so.
We're going to empty out our darkest thoughts later in the program. And we'll get there. But I think first, Trev, is it drugs or is it a super team, our international kind of, I don't know, baseball's shiny diamond right now, the Dodgers, they're Mookie Betts. Can he play baseball? He's the shortstop, or Noelvi Marte in the 80-game PED suspension, which, there's a lot of layers to that between, obviously, my Reds, but, just kind of that ripple effect that it always leaves. Like, what's next for him? Like, what's going on? Do ball players hate him forever? We just mentioned Rod a little bit. So, you, Chris Rose, and Dan Rourke in person had an electric baseball today. So I've gotten a little bit of your thoughts on both. But which way do you want to head first?
You said a lot of sentences right there that didn't really follow. I think we're starting with Mookie and the transfer over to shortstop. We've been talking about this a lot during the offseason. Mookie Betts being this insane athlete that's able to play anywhere on the baseball field at a high level. We know the bat's there. We know he can play outfield. We know he was a middle infielder, because everyone's a middle infielder when they get drafted. But to go, how many years was he an outfielder? 8, 9? Full-time outfield?
Yeah.
Moving to second base already had us shocked, but he did it so easily and so seamlessly that, I feel like people's respect level for Mookie Betts has only gone up as he's gotten older. Like, this guy continues to reach into his bag of tricks and entertain us. So second base is crazy. We're like, dude, the Dodgers just have this ability to move him wherever they need a piece, and it's a cheat code for them. Gavin Lux comes in. Now, I watched a lot of balls that Gavin has been fielding in spring training, and he's kind of had this issue before throwing. Doesn't have the strongest arm, coming off an ACL injury. The feet, the legs just weren't there early on in spring training. He never got set. He never was moving towards the base. Every time I saw him field a ground ball, the motion stopped and then started again. There was just so many things mechanically wrong that at first I chalked it up to it's spring training. You're just getting your feet into under you again. You got cleats on. Things like, take a little bit of time. But the Dodgers must have seen something or seen enough on the backfields as well to say, this is just, let's nip it in the bud right now. And I think I respect that move from the Dodgers. And I think that's why, Mookie's so valuable and why the Dodgers are so good at what they do. Like, they're making decisions here. They didn't let this thing linger on into this season. Because if they did, if Gavin Lux goes and starts the season and just gets blown up at shortstop and just looks like horrible, that really, really crushes the confidence. Not that this doesn't, but it's on a different stage when you start the regular season and you got those numbers and the highlights and all that stuff. Doing it in spring training, I think, is great for his mental capacity, and it gives him some time to get back into the second base mode. So this whole thing has just been, I think the Dodgers have done a good job. They've said all the right things before. Gavin Lux is our shortstop. You got to instill as much confidence into this guy as possible, coming off a year where he didn't play any baseball. But then they were smart to quickly transition and put Mookie over there, give Gavin some time. He's been, by metrics, a good second baseman. Some Dodger fans have reached out and said he's not great over there either. But if throwing's the issue, second base is the spot for you. Throws are easier. They're shorter. You have more time. All those things. Shortstop, you don't have time to make any missteps. Like, if you make a misstep, people are safe. Second base, you can double clutch. You can, miss the grip on a ball and regrip and do all these things. You still have time to do it. So I think it'll end up being a good thing. And I did say this on Baseball Today, and I think I'm not taking anything away from Mookie, like, ever, because he's the best. I think in the game today, if you have lateral ability like Mookie does, and you have the range, I think shortstop's easier to play than second base. If you're just coming into it new. The hardest thing about shortstop is the amount of range you have to have in the arm. Mookie has those things in spades. So everything else, now you're just working one way. Because at first I was like, is Mookie going to be able to handle shortstop? And I started thinking about it. It's like, yeah, he will. Like, everything's going one way. It's easier just to go over to first base. Second base, you're moving away from the bag to turn double play. You're doing all these different assignments on bunt coverages and whatever it is. I think this is going to be really, really good for the Dodgers in the long run. I just said a lot right there without letting you talk. But, like, this is a really important move, and I'm glad that they did it now. I think that's my biggest point here is doing it in spring training is great. I'm glad they made the decision like that.
Trev, I want to start. I want to do a little bit on Lux, and I like what you said about the Dodgers, like, to just get in front of it. And, like, again, we relate back to the Yanks as the team we follow the closest, but they love to be ambiguous. Like, they don't want to let the outside in. It's old school, like Patriots sometimes. Like, why even give the other team the information? Because sometimes your team knowing, like, in having the media know and having everyone know, that's more important than trying to play it cool and, like, and all of that. So the fact they did go out and get it, and they're attacking it a little earlier because they are playing in that Korea game. So, they're 9 days out from playing a game that counts as part of their regular season. So they went out and they did that. The Gavin Lux side of this. Shortstop's really hard. There's the amount of guys that can play that position well defensively and hit at a plus major league level. I normally compare it to quarterbacks. Like, it blows your mind that there's, in the amount of people that we're having compete to do this in the world, there's only X amount of guys in a given year that can do it at a high competitive level. So there's no shots fired at Gavin Lux here. Again, final Yankees twist. Gleyber Torres, man. Gleyber, they tried to make him a shortstop. He came up as a shortstop like a lot of ball players. Not Mookie Betts, really, which is the crazy part. And, man, his offensive numbers were down when he was playing shortstop. He was a lesser defensive player at shortstop that for Gavin Lux, hey, man, let's get you on the field. 26 years old. You're coming off a tough baseball injury, Achilles, like just a weird one you don't see a lot. It shouldn't affect your baseball game, but go out there and try to replicate what you can from your 2022 season. Because the other thing is that season isn't gangbusters. Like, it's a nice season. It's 276, 346, 745, a 109 OPS plus. And I think when you're talking about Gavin Lux, the top prospect and things like that, like I was just saying, if you can get that and a little more out of your shortstop, that's a ball player. That's a plus ball player. So if you're Gavin Lux, that's in the back of your head a little bit, like when you're thinking about your career. But let's get you back on the field. Let's get you balling out for this Dodgers team, and we can figure out the rest later. Mookie, man. If he does this, Trev, if he just does this clean, he goes to like inner circle Hall of Famer for me. Because it's nuts, dude. Because what you did say about shortstop is right, and I love that you said it because, I'm a little guy. I'm like 5'11", 190, something like that. That for a lot of my... What was that?
Give or take.
Give or take. For a lot of my baseball short kings... Second base is the short king position. Look what Altuve's doing, who's, probably closer to my stats than I just listed as my fake, my baseball reference height and weight. I hated second base, dude. The angles of the game are all off. They're all off. It's not an easy position to play. The throwing is easier. But, dude, you feel like you're facing the wrong way. If you're like a true baseball guy, everything's off. So that's like my worst short guy baseball take. If Mookie does this clean, because he had 12 starts there last year. He played under 100 innings. Shortstop's a grind, man. And this is why if Mookie does this clean, whatever, dude. He's that guy. Maybe it's why we love the A-Rod Big Papi quotes about Mookie so much. We see him bowling. We see him playing like his football highlights that, you start dreaming of Mookie Betts in the slot. I don't see anyone guarding that guy. If he does this clean, Trev, I don't know, man. It's Looney Tunes. You're not supposed to be able to do this, especially at 31. I think his last time getting a little bit of shortstop in the minors was like 2013, 2014. It's 2024. Like, what are we doing? And that's where, in this season for the Dodgers, that there's, we just handed out over a Billy. Over a Billy. I'm interested to see the next part, because Mookie Betts had a resurgent year last year, and I don't want to be talking about, Mookie Betts is having a lesser year because he's playing shortstop. And, they still have Miggy Rowe. And I know Chris Rosie was getting passionate about it. Shortstop is different. That if you can turn around and that guy behind you is going to make the plays, sometimes that's a lot more valuable than whatever OPS you're getting out of them. So, I don't know, man. If he does this clean, like if I'm making an all-time 9, I think Mookie's got to be in it.
Don't know where, but he's on there.
First of all, Mookie's baseball savant page is just bleeding red. It's bleeding.
Gross.
It's disgusting. Although I thought the sprint speed's 47 percentile, which I didn't.
That was a conversation at the start of last year. It was like, wait, Mookie's not like a speed guy anymore, which isn't necessarily a direct correlation with range, but yeah, it definitely helps.
All right, so we talked about Mookie and all this going right. What if it goes horribly wrong? I think that's an interesting conversation to have, because I just said shortstop's easier than second base if you have the range and the arm. What if Mookie doesn't have the range? What if the angles are bad? What if he's out there and he brings his defense, if it's poor, to his offense? Like, there are things that can happen. It can wear on you mentally. Shortstop is a... Let me get so off track here. Him and Dansby Swanson sat down for a talk.
Ooh.
On base with Mookie Betts. He has a podcast.
Yeah,
they sat down.
ad.
They talked about it. Ad for them. And they were just talking about... Dansby was talking about like the prestige of being a shortstop. and like what it means. Like, because everyone, we always say that on the show, everyone's a shortstop.
It's a shortstop.
Everybody's a shortstop. It's the pinnacle position defensively on the field. More so than center field, more so than catcher, more so than pitcher. Shortstop is the defensive position. So it means a lot to these guys to be able to do it. Now, Mookie's stepping in. What happens if it goes wrong? Let's just say this, because I got to add another wrinkle in this, because the easy answer is move back to second base and bring Miggy Rowe, or maybe even Kike starts there, or they go acquire Willie Adames, whatever it is. Let's just say Gavin Lux is flourishing at second base, handling it great. Defense is there, banging the ball around the yard, and Mookie struggling at shortstop. Then what happens?
All right.
I think we need to talk about, what do you think in that situation? Lux is going off, and Mookie's like, the defense isn't there. He's still hitting, but the defense isn't there. Like, what do you think the plan is then?
Well, if that scenario's playing out and Lux looks great, I'd be
Came to the outfield?
I'd be interested to switch again. And like this is part of the luxury of the Dodgers, right? Like say Lux comes back and he's building up his legs again. He looks good. Mookie looks weird. Switch back, right? Like if you're going through the articles and Mookie made the call and he's like, trying to be good guy teammate Mookie Betts, and he said, "Hey, we're still up the middle." Like that was the plan. Like don't let this part get into our heads. Mookie should live up to that the other way. And if you go back to that and, hey, say Lux is finding it, and that's cool. And if we're being honest, I think they're probably going to platoon Lux a lot this year. He's got a 587 career OPS versus lefties, and you have Miguel Rojas, who can still go and get it at shortstop. So you probably start him versus lefties. You have him as a defensive sub, or you have him as, get the starts versus lefty. Let's see how this team feels. And it's going to be one of the storylines of the season, because I think they wanted Willie Adames. I was trying to read the tea leaves on that early when we thought the Brewers were going to hard sell off this whole team. Then they didn't, and it was like, okay. And then they did. They traded Burns, but the Brewers treat themselves as one of the more elite organizations, and in a way they've deserved that credit. Like the Central has somewhat gone through Milwaukee the past handful of years. I think they held on to Willie Adames because they wanted him to show Churrillo, their super prospect, the ropes of being a young Latin ball player, which we'll talk about in a second when we get to our guy Noelvi Marte. Trev, that's why we're different. That's how we bring it all together. And then you've got a real situation if Lux doesn't click it short again, because you got a lot of bodies on this team, man. And I think if you're reading the room, Mookie ain't going anywhere. I still got a lot of positions that guy can work at. You've got a lot of bodies in the outfield that you like. It would become decision time pretty quickly. And even if it gets to that point, what's the decision, dude? Trade 26-year-old Gavin Lux, who could still be a plus player for a baseball team, and what, the Dodgers go out and get probably another really good starting pitcher or something. Like this is gonna solve itself, and this is probably the perfect team for it, because Dave Roberts' personality, this whole team. Like when we rolled up to their backfield at spring training a couple years ago, it was kind of like, "What's up, dudes?" Just in like you guys are cool with us because we're cool with us. Like, we know we have World Series expectation. We all know that we're dudes. Like, if you guys want to talk some junk on your little podcast, that's fine. But you're probably not, because we're going to win 150 games.
I'll never forget that spring training when we went there, because, I've been a part of a lot of spring trainings. The vibe was never like that.
That didn't feel like Twins camp.
No, the vibe was like, "What's up? Yeah, fucking look at us.
Yeah.
Come out. Like, we're hitting
watch.
BP. Come on the field."
It was a car show. It was like one of those weekend antique car shows. Like, look at this one. This one's fucking Max Muncy.
Yeah. This one's Max.
We actually just picked up
That's a good
Freddie.
point. That's a good point about Max Muncy. Not known for his defensive prowess at third base.
True.
So, like, that left side of the infield, like, they got to get defense from somewhere. I'm very curious to see how this plays out, but I think my general take on it is Mookie's otherworldly, and he'll probably be excellent at shortstop. Give him some time. Like, there
Right.
might be some hiccups here and there. Like, it's not always going to be pretty. It's a very difficult position, but he'll figure it out. And then it's up to Gavin, man. Like, honestly, congratulations, by the way. You just got engaged.
Let's go.
Happy time in his life. It's up to Gavin. Like, this is probably the year for him, dude. Like, you got to put some shit up. Like, you got to put the numbers up. Eventually, at the big league level, you can't rely on prospect status and, like, hopes and dreams. Like, you got to go produce. It's a results-oriented business, and eventually you got to put up the results. We challenged Austin Riley to this fucking 4 years ago. And he said, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
I'm the best third baseman in baseball. So, I mean, I think this is, if Gavin goes out and doesn't have a great year this year, I don't know what the plans are for him in the future with the Dodgers. And I don't know. I don't think that's like a rough take or like shots fired. I think he understands that. I mean, you just said it. Like, the stats aren't like jump off the page great. And let's see, when is he ARB eligible? First year, this
I
year.
believe this is first year, yeah.
Start making some money, bro. Like, I know the Dodgers have money, but like, they also are like, hey, we're spending a lot of money here. If we can save a little here and you're not performing, they'll do it. So this year's paramount for Gavin.
And that's yeah, man, that's if I'm Gavin Lux, like you said with shortstop, there's something to that. Like, there's always been something to shortstop, and it's a weird thing, and maybe it is dumb baseball guy stuff. Maybe it is just from everyone playing on a team up and through like AA, kind of the best dude is at shortstop, that maybe guys just need to try to get out of their head, but you don't. And that is kind of for life. So I don't know. If I'm Gavin Lux, I say I would try to take it as much of a blessing as I can. Like, hey, that's one less thing to worry about for now. Why don't I just go out there and hit, and everything else is going to take care of itself? And he's a good dude. We met Lux a couple times. Like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the Dodgers' injuries sort out this year, because if an outfielder goes down, are there going to be eyes on Mookie? Their bench is veteran. It's Kike and Chris Taylor, who they can play everywhere. So, like, I don't know, man. The Dodgers will spin this into a good problem. But I don't know. I think it's one of the bigger storylines. It's continued this offseason. It's going to continue into the season. Like, if the Brewers start limping, Willie Adames, if your team starts limping,
you've been on that train for so long.
If you're going to invest in everything else.
It makes so much sense for them because he's a free agent at the end of the year. I believe there's not another year, is there?
Gavin Lux in a Brewers uni. Yeah, this is Willie's last year of his contract.
It makes so much sense for the Dodgers.
Well, like I referenced before, and as we switch over to our NL Central just a little bit, Nutrafol. See, there's some good performance enhancers out there. And Nutrafol, for your lettuce, 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime. It doesn't have to be your fate. I've messed around with it. I've messed around with the hair stuff. I saw a couple, we've got a warehouse camera in the owner's suite. One day our guy, this is a true story, behind the scenes Bill was just messing around up there. Zoomed in on the back of my head. A little thin. Luckily, there's TVs everywhere. So I didn't love that. So I've been attacking this, and I've seen the results. And you guys should go see Nutrafol, NUTRAFOL.com/men. When you enter promo code TALKBASE. Oh, wow. You'll get $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping. That's with promo code TALKBASE at Nutrafol.com/men. Enter that promo code. There's a link in the description. Get ahead of it. Once you get behind, that's when it gets really tough. But if you can get ahead of it, that's where you want to be. Nutrafol. What do you got, Trevor?
Gavin Lux.
Yeah?
Kenosha, Wisconsin. I mean, it's only a stone's throw from Milwaukee. Why are we saying this? Go ball
I know,
out at
it's
second base, Gav.
I hope at the end of the year we're talking about Gavin Lux's.
This guy was born in 97, though. Fuck.
Crazy. Beebs?
Same.
Brewers, Dodgers infield, BBD and Gavin Lux.
I think I'm having a midlife crisis.
I'll let him play
Okay.
short.
Now we're talking.
I think I am. Not like a real
I am
crisis.
too a little bit.
When I see my children now,
Right.
it's freaking me out, man.
Yeah, they're not like
Because
babies.
They've got opinions now, Trev.
I remember being that age, dude.
Right. Teddy can outthink me.
Dude, he's oh man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, so that's it. I started looking at these kids and I'm like, dude, how old am I really? 37 years old, turning 38 in a couple months. Like, how many years do I really got left in me?
Okay.
I keep saying I'm gonna live to 115.
Let's close the show with this. Let's do
Okay. I'm sorry. I started thinking, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
I'm there every night. Noelvi Marte. Again, maybe this topic should be called life decisions. Noelvi Marte, super prospect for my Cincinnati Reds, gets popped. 80 game suspension. I think he's eligible to come back June 26th or something like that for Cincinnati. If you guys have been listening to the TPPs, thank you guys, and go check them out. The Reds kind of have won over my soul because I just can't believe how many young ball players hit on their team last year. And this guy was one of them. It was more of a limited sample size. It was 30-plus games. But I think it was a 120 OPS plus. In a team filled of talented infielders, this guy was kind of getting slated in to become the third baseman, take over. And if you were believing in the Reds this season, there was a chance this was one of the young guys you were believing in, and he's going to be out for at least half the season, and we'll see what their roster looks like. I'm fascinated. I always wonder with these kind of things, what did the team know and when? Because this is a team we've talked about trading Jonathan India, and they didn't. This is a team we've talked about their depth and are they going to cash in for some more pitching or something like that, and that never happened. So how long did they know that this could potentially be in the pipeline? And there's just the whole young ball player side of it, young Dominican ball player side of it, Trev, that I know you're passionate about for a lot of different reasons. So where do you want to go with this?
First of all, what is you doing, baby? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Like, what are you doing here? Like, Marte, you got the world by the balls. I said this at the warehouse. If you have a competent season in 2024, not even a banger season, a competent season, they're going to extend you. They're going to give you 7 years, 70 years, $80 million. Like, that was your next step, dude.
Yeah.
And now what? You're not going to get that. They're going to make you go year to year to year to year to year, unless he just goes off and forces the hand. But like you kind of like you ruin that a little bit. Now you soured the taste of your name, which is tough, man. I don't have any. I really don't have any. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Sympathy. I don't, man. Because you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Like you gotta be better than this. We gotta know what's going on, getting put into our bodies, all of that stuff. Like, you're missing out on 80 games now, giving somebody else a chance because we know the Reds are flush with infielders. You're giving someone else a chance to come establish themselves. And you might come back to a very crowded infield, and you might not have a spot. How can you do that as an organization? This guy gets popped. Your team's going off because they don't need it. I mean, like, obviously they need him. They want him, but they don't necessarily need him. There's enough guys there that they can, from within the organization, from within the 26-man roster, they can fill that. So now you're giving a chance to someone to come steal your freaking job, which was yours. You earned it last year, had a pretty good year. You earned it. It ain't yours anymore, dude. Like, this is crazy stuff to me. I don't understand. I understand pre, like the Bonds, Clemens, kind of all of that era, because there wasn't really regulation. Like, it was rampant. A lot of guys do it. Now we know. I mean, come on, dude. Like, this is, what the tests are. You know that, like, there's many, many more rules and regulations in place. Like, you can't be doing this shit anymore. But year after year after year, we get these guys doing it.
But
for what? You're looking for an edge, dude. You're a fucking super prospect. If it was some fringe roster guy, you almost say, like, oh, I get it. I guess, like, you're teetering in and out of baseball. You're giving yourself a shot. That's not what happened here, dude.
Right, but I isn't the counter to that, like, if to become the super prospect, to become the guy that gets called up to the show at 21, like, isn't that part of his thought process of, like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'll get to the show quicker, I'll be looked at as more...
You think this has been going on for a long time?
I don't know. I guess that's kind of what I'm asking, right? Like,
that's where
I doubt, like, the first time he did it was before his first test.
Yeah, I mean, look, 100% agree. Like, how long has this been going on? We have no idea. How long was Fernando Tatis doing what he was doing? We have no idea. The shit never comes out. The real truth doesn't ever come out. I mean, dude, I'm like best friends with a guy that got popped, and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, these things that go to the grave. We'll never know the true instances of what happens. We really won't. So I don't understand it. I think this is actually, I'm hesitant to talk about this a little bit, but I think I've been around baseball enough, clubhouses enough, where I think I can kind of say this. It's a little bit different for, like, Venezuelan, Dominican players than it is for American ball players. There's a little bit different stigma to it, where it's seen, and this is from conversations I've had with guys and being around the clubhouse, it's seen in a different light. Let's just say, in the Dominican Republic, they're trying to get their families, like, kind of out of poverty, bring everyone over. It's almost like, hey, I'm trying everything I can. It's not that way with American ball players. American ball players, if another American ball player does it, you're just a cheat. You're a cheat. That's what people think of you. It's not that way with Latin American ball players. It's so strange to me. And I had this, like, really firsthand experience. Irvin Santana signs a deal with the Twins, then gets popped. I don't think the same way about him as I do of my American counterparts. It's a strange thing in the game of baseball where it is a little bit different culturally. And I don't know if that had anything to do with this, but kind of, I don't know. I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but I just feel like it's true. So can he come back and be like a guy and kind of everyone forget about it? Yeah, because if you go down the list, I'm going down the list of guys that got popped, and, like, I forgot about, like, a lot of these guys.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. It's a tough mental exercise, man, because the opportunity to play Major League Baseball, for a lot of people, that dream leaves pretty early. If that dream is in front of you, and you start thinking about family, and like you said, there are some cultural differences there, but
100%.
So sometimes there aren't, and, like, maybe that's that's the decision to make. And for some people, it feels like, hey, this is the move I've got to make. For some people, it's like, well, screw it. Like, if I get caught, but I put myself in the right position, like you said, there's a lot of examples out there of guys that, hey, as long as you get to that spot, and I know you were reading off the drug names before this, and we were kind of laughing at ourselves just because it's like, well, I've got nothing to add. I don't know. Like, I think the scouting report you had on the one that he got popped for was, like, not the best muscle builder, but, better stamina. Like, okay, sure. That's the little bit of edge you needed and wanted. And I don't know. Because I hear what you're saying, Trevor, because I've been all over the Reds, and this part of the reason why they signed Jamer Candelario. He's probably going to slide to third. That guy's got some great stats over the past few seasons. Spencer Steer's floating around. He's probably going to be in the outfield, but he's a body that moved around a lot last year. And Encarnacion Strand, he's slotting into first base right now, and that guy is 24 years old, and he had an 805 OPS last year. So I know what you're saying, like, hey, if everything goes for this Reds team, Noelvi, you might be fighting for ABs or whatever. At the same time, this is the guy they traded for Luis Castillo, that when he's back, it turns into a business real quick. And I doubt all of those guys are clicking, and there's really no at-bats to be had. That we tend to move on pretty quickly from it. And it's kind of your own mental process, right? Like, hey, if he's still getting tested and he's clean now, whatever, I get that's within the rules. Or like, some people will always look at him and link him to that for now. But it kind of depends how you play ball after this. And maybe you're right about the extension stuff. Maybe that's where the Reds are, no, don't touch. Like, let's just ride him out for the next 5 years. And if baseball comes up and nips him at some point, that's how he screwed himself. But I kind of doubt it.
Or maybe they signed him to a 7-year, $25 million contract and said, you better take this right now, son.
Right now. Take it.
What do you think he would do right now? He's serving 80 games, and they offered him an extension. Would that be crazy?
Get the low ball extension in.
Could you imagine if this news came out that Noelvi Marte signs an extension, and people are like, wait a minute.
I mean, doesn't MLB have to, like, approve contracts? Like, they could probably kind of be like, hey, fuck you guys. Like, no way.
I don't know. I mean, Salvador Perez signed a 5-year, $7 million contract. Like, how was that ever approved?
I don't know.
Or was it a 7-year 5? It was something like that. Anyways, I don't know, man. Like, I'm having a difficult time. I always have a difficult time talking about this because it's such a polarizing. I don't know if polarizing is the right word. I mean, it sucks, dude. It sucks being in the clubhouse with someone who feels cheated. Because the vast majority of guys are clean and they've worked their ass off. And it's like, dude, I've gone through injuries. I feel like shit today. And you're just taking some shit that makes you feel good. Like, I would love to do that. Here I am, like an idiot, drinking coffee.
Right.
And muscle milk. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want the best for all the players. I hope this guy comes back and just balls out, never gets tested for PEDs again. But right now, he deserves a what is he doing, baby? And like, come on, man. Fucking be better.
Are you still the cleanest guy in the game? That used to be one of your taglines. I feel like I haven't heard that in a little bit.
No one's cleaner than I am. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, you can't get cleaner than me.
Okay. That's good.
I guess if you've never taken creatine before. I've taken creatine.
Okay.
And then I had to stop it because I kept pulling my muscles. It was a negative performance-enhancing drug for me. Performance negative drug.
Okay.
Performance negating.
So if you haven't taken creatine,
you're probably, I guess you're cleaner than me. Or like is protein or like fucking.
Now that's
Red
a
Bulls?
fun game. Who are the guys that are literally nothing? Like
Joey
they
Wendell,
just
sure.
Wake up, they stretch.
Well, no,
they
Joey
go.
Wendell eats nails. That's his advantage. That's his performance.
Cold showers only.
Vitamins in there.
The worst performance enhancing drugs ever. Joey
What
Wendell's.
about these guys that only do cold tubs? Like they do cold tubs every day. Like, relax, guys.
People love it. There's supposed to be some like serotonin release stuff that's like there's real science involved. Cold things touching my skin is one of my least favorite things in the world. You put an ice cube on my neck, I'm going to like cock back.
And then what?
Depends who's on the other side.
You should cock back?
Cock back.
Oh, I thought you were cock back.
Oh.
Anyways, we're getting naughty. Noelvi, come on, man.
Come on, Noelvi.
Hey, but seriously,
yeah.
End of discussion here. We thought the Reds were silly for signing another infielder, especially a corner infielder. Here we go.
That's Am I off on the timeline stuff? Like
could they have known that beginning of the offseason? Because they got Jamer done fairly early.
Yeah. So okay. No. The way it happens is they inform you first to give you a chance to appeal. Then they inform the team, but nobody should know until your appeal is over. I don't know if they appealed or not, but
Right.
I don't think it happened like that. I don't think they said, "Oh shit, like this might happen. Let's sign this guy," or maybe.
Right.
When did he sign? He signed early though, so
It's pretty early. Was he pre-winter meetings?
it was a silly sign.
It was one of the
dude.
first
It
signings.
was a silly sign. We're like, what?
It's like vaguely team friendly.
All right, we're not saying it happened. We're not
No.
saying it didn't happen.
I suppose the more likely one is, I don't know when they got this Tony Kemp NRI done, but
Seeing
that
him
was
on-
one of the more
also,
likely.
Didn't they sign Josh Harrison?
I think so.
I think so.
And I was like, Josh, why are you going there? There's 30 infielders.
Well,
Josh Harrison and Tony Kemp fighting for a last roster spot. Couple awesome baseball dudes.
Tony's got the handedness advantage there.
The other thing that's pretty awesome is the DraftKings Sportsbook. And how about these words? March. The thrill of March Mania is here, and the DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets, getting in on the college basketball action. I know we've got one of the big conference tournaments here in the city this week. I'm trying to get over there, but I think I'm doing a midnight gaming stream with Shelfie and Joe's, so that's a little bit of my life. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code TALKIN. New customers can bet $5 and get $150 instantly in bonus bets only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code TALKIN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, ages vary by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/bball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Trev, we've got a couple boxes to check off baseball-wise before we turn it into midlife, quarter-life crisis show. Brayan Bello, our guy, talking baseball legend, he signs an extension with the Red Sox. Very similar extension to a couple young ball players we've seen. Do we have the numbers? They're not on the sheet.
It's 6 years with a club option for 2030 as 55 guaranteed. It'll be $1 million in 2024. Then 2.5, 6, 8.5, 16, and 19.
And that
there's
club
the
option
one-
is for another 21.
And there's a $1 million buyout. On trade rumors, they have MM next to the dollar amount. We're not doing just M's anymore?
MM.
What's MM? Millions?
Millions.
1 M.
I feel like I've seen that
million?
used-
That's a big contract.
Did Meters take that?
Are they
one?
referencing the luxury tax hit on that? I think I've seen it used that way.
What?
The other similar extensions I was referencing without having the facts. Hunter Green, 6-year, $53 million.
Yes.
Spencer Strider was 6 for $75. And again, a lot of these contracts have escalators and stuff like that. But I mean, eerily similar to the Hunter Green contract. And Boston, I mean, this is piggybacking a little bit off the Lucas Giolito news that he's probably not going to pitch. Well, he might pitch for them next year. We'll see. And the part I did like was that they did this right before the Red Sox headed to their spring training exhibition games in the Dominican, where Bello's from, and he gets to celebrate with his family and stuff. So that's a nice little. I like that for you, Red Sox. Otherwise, I don't know. I guess, what do you have, Trev? Because honestly, I started looking at the Red Sox roster, and I know it's been their players and managers.
Relax,
Dude,
bro. Relax. You're gonna get in trouble right now.
Brayan Bello, Trev.
Why are like Red Sox fans and Carabas Jared, they talk crap about us about Brayan Bello because we said what? That he was like a prospect and he was going to perform at the major league level this year. We just didn't know that at that time they thought this guy was going to be an ace.
We posted a graphic that was FanGraphs starting five for the Red Sox. That did not have Bello on it.
They projected him starting the year in the minors.
I do think whoever was on socials that day countered with like, Bello hasn't really done much yet. And I think that was kind of the step too far that we didn't say that was half true. That flamed the fire a little bit, but go on.
Okay, I just like all of a sudden, you know, we start getting tagged in all these things. We're getting banged on by Red Sox fans. Whatever. I used to share Fort Myers with those guys. I'm basically a Red Sox. They offer me a contract.
Yeah.
Red Sox Nation. Anyways, I think it's like this is like a going rate for young pitchers or for pitchers in general right now. I mean, look at those, like in his ARB years, I guess it'll be, well, where is he at now? I mean, it's either 2.5, 6, and 8.5. I guess his ARB years would be 6, 8.5, and 16. And then the 1 year free agency they bought out for sure is 19. Like that's kind of
right.
The going rate for, we've seen it this offseason for just like a starting pitcher. Like what did Sean Manaea get? 2 years, 30 something?
Something like that. I mean, Giolito was best example. He basically got 19.5 a year to be with the Red Sox.
So it's cost controlling, which teams love to do, especially with the competitive balance tax. Like they want to know where they're going to be at. What moves can we make as they've imposed this cap on themselves? I think that's what this is. I mean, you know that you like this guy in your rotation. He's going to be your ace or a top of the rotation type of guy for you. I mean, you hope.
Right.
Like there's been some really good spurts of pitching from this guy, and there's been some poor ones. And but obviously Boston believes he's a top of the rotation guy, and I think he is. If you watch him pitch, like he's got some great secondary stuff. The changeup is nasty. This is just them cost controlling, and I'm happy for him. You get paid like this. I mean, that's everything, man. Like you don't. We just talked about this. Like $55 million, like in the DR is crazy money. So, you know, it was either take this right now or go pitch, and you can maybe earn more later. Probably earn a little bit more later as you have good years. But I think he's smart to take this now. You know, set yourself and your family up for life, and then, you know, you'll have another chance at free agency if that's what you really care about.
Yeah, and the numbers with Bello for the baseball people, you know, he had a couple bad ones down the stretch that really hurt him. If he didn't pitch his final 2 games, we'd be talking about his, 26 starts with a 3.71 for the Sox, and this guy. He's young. He's 24. He's locked up. Let's go. He has 2 really awful ones that make it a 4.24 ERA at the end. I think the numbers that really matter more so because you see the arm talent, and that changeup has a chance to be special, and some of the numbers on it are. He really struggled righty-lefty last year, which you and I, we both did a head tilt because it's like, well, a right-hander with the changeup, that's the neutralizer. That's what can do it. He had one of the biggest gaps of any pitcher last year between right-handed batters and left-handed batters. So it's good news because it's usually mostly righties out there that he held to a 678 OPS. But lefties an 883 OPS. I mean, you're turning any lefty you see into an all-star caliber baseball player pretty much. So I guess I can spin that 2 ways, right? Like you have what should be the lefty neutralizer. Let's figure it out, and maybe you can elevate yourself to a top-tier pitcher in baseball. Or it's like, what's going on here? Why isn't this clicking? For young pitchers, I believe in the experience and going through the lumps, and I think it's funny that his contract is so similar to Hunter Green's. Like, it's going to come together. It's going to click fully for these guys, and I think we'll be talking about them as top flight starting pitchers, but we just never know. Is that the first start of this year? Is that the last start of this year? Is it next year? But either way, the price that pitching goes for, if you're the Red Sox, I guess this is good news because you can Red Sox fans really want to come up with a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. And hopefully this is one of the first couple steps that they can start checking off. Because, again, I don't want this to be a New York guy doesn't like what the Red Sox are doing.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Baseball guy doesn't love what the Red Sox are doing, Trev.
That's fine. I'll say this. I'm going to stay on Bello. For what he can become, this could end up being a steal for the Red Sox. And he put up, 3.5 WAR last year, 3.1 WAR last year. Take that all day long for those numbers that you gave. And if he gets better, which they believe he will, pitch mix to the lefties could change. All these things can happen. I think this is a great deal for the Red Sox. And, it's a great deal for Bello because he signed for $28,000, played through the minor leagues, has had one full season in the big leagues. Like, the guy is like, you're a big leaguer, but you haven't really made any money yet. Then all of a sudden you get this flash in front of your face. Of course you're going to take it.
And he doesn't, hey.
Win-win.
4 best hitters on the Red Sox are lefties. He doesn't have to face those guys. Win-win. Win-win-win.
Tristan Casas is saying that they've talked to him about an extension. So this is like maybe the first step into like, let's make sure we lock up this core because they don't have a lot of players like locked up. I think I read that beyond 2027, I think it's only Bello now.
Devers, they extended
Devers. Sorry, Devers. That's I forgot about Devers.
And maybe
like Story's 2026.
That's when Story comes up. Yeah, Yoshida, I know he got.
I think he's also like 2026.
Right around there. So, yeah. Let's see. I guess I will bite my tongue, or you can bite it for me about the Sox. Another fun one in the AL East. Homecoming. Joey Votto.
Oh.
We got the picture of him in the Blue Jays uniform. It's an NRI, and I think his initial quotes were saying that, and actually this is an important part of it, saying he's going to start the year in Buffalo and he's willing to go to AAA and stuff like that. So Votto's always been interesting for me a little bit. As a baseball player, and I did love this, they were posting, I think he has like the 4th highest active OPS or something like that. So his name is listed with like, I think it's Judge, Harper, Mookie, whoever else is up there. But it's respect how damn good Joey Votto was and like Hall of Fame, all of that stuff. His personality, sometimes he puts me through the ringer that a little bit. I don't love it as much as everyone fully loves it. It's good for baseball and all that stuff, but some people they lead the Votto train. I think Chris Rose is one of them, so it's not like I'm starting beef. Some of the stuff it's a lot. But
welcome to my world, Pop, with you.
I know it can come off.
Everybody loves this guy. I'm like, have you watched him recently?
Couple alphas. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know. Are they awaiting injury? Because is Votto willing to be a depth piece on the bench for them? He
has to be. He has to be.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think he understands the role. He understands the role that he signed up for. Understand you're going to go to AAA, have an influence on the young guys. I don't know if it is an injury to get a roster spot or just, hey, you need to go down and make sure like you're in baseball shape and have seen enough live pitching. And then as soon as we see that, you can come up. I don't know what they've told him. I'd assume they've been very clear with him what his role will be and what the timeline is. I don't think this is like, hey, Joey, we'll throw you a bone and put you in AAA. Like, I don't think that's the case here.
No.
And what's cool about Joey is even last year when he was injured coming back and the team was going fucking off, he goes, I got to earn my spot in that lineup. Like, I need to earn it back. This is a guy who, like, go look at the baseball reference page, people. He's earned everything that you can earn as a baseball player, and he has that mentality, and I think he'll have the same exact one this year. I got to earn it back. So I guess I don't have much on it. I'm happy for him. I think Toronto's the only place that I wouldn't have felt weird about him going.
Right.
Like, he's going to look great in a Blue Jays uniform. Obviously, the Canadian roots. It's just a great fit. If it wasn't Cincinnati and it never was going to be, this is the fit. Until he gets traded to the Dodgers.
Oh.
I'm just kidding about that. People relax.
Yeah, in his 65 games last year, 99 OPS plus. He was still getting walks, and he still had some pop. So, the batting average the past couple years isn't where you'd like it after his kind of silly 2021 campaign. I'm interested to see the next steps. Like you're saying, what was he promised? Because this is a Hall of Fame veteran. So was he told, hey, get your reps in. You're probably not starting the season on the squad, but we are going to call you up? Or was it like, hey, man, you're Joey Votto, and we respect that, but you are going to have to earn it, and the injuries have to fall right and whatever it is. I kind of lean the first option just because I don't know, not to be shots fired at Nathan Lukes, but he's currently listed as the last guy on the roster that Toronto needs lefties. That I don't know, Joey Votto's presence, get a couple DH days. Justin Turner plays third. Get a lefty with a good eye in the lineup. Makes sense to me. Brandon Belt played a big role for this team last year, and he's currently not on the roster. So I don't know. I'd like to think if Votto's doing this after posting his his silly waiting on the bench for a team to call and stuff like that, I'd like to think there was a little like, you'll be on the squad this year, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's a guy on the Blue Jays team who's been effectively, we've said things that he probably wouldn't like, but I mean, IKF's listed third baseman. You can pretty easily Justin Turner play third. I think he still picks it over there fine. The Red Sox had Devers last year, which is a lot of those Turner DH days. One of Vladdy or Votto, DH a day here or there. I think the at-bats are there.
Sure.
I think they're there.
Sure.
Anything IKF out of this, you guys?
I didn't say he who shall not be named. Although
I thought Jimmy wasn't on his episode.
Good Athletic article just came out where he admitted that he just struggled with the routine plays, which circle back to Mookie Betts playing shortstop. Anyways, JD Davis, the last piece of baseball news that I want to bite off, was put on waivers. Can you see what day that was, Beebs? Because that depends the timeline.
Yeah, we could be approaching a follow-up.
JD Davis, a guy that you've probably seen around the league for a while now, known as a hitter, and San Francisco Giants fans were telling us last year that he was playing a third base that they were happy about. That usually if a fan base doesn't like you, they'll let us know pretty quickly.
I have that happening Saturday morning. Or maybe night, Saturday.
So we've got a couple days to find out if he clears waivers, which then, any team can sign him for the right price. He's making $7 million. He doesn't necessarily have a position, but he does have a career 775 OPS, 113 OPS plus. That JD Davis, whether it's in a bench role or he started 144 games last year, he can be a valuable major league player. And I'm interested to see, are the Giants going to eat a little bit to be able to trade J.D. Davis for something, or are they just going to let him through the cracks? But he's a guy that he can be an impact player for your team for a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be the discussion. Okay, what's the package for him? Is it strictly monetary? Are the Giants saying, hey, we'll take this money off the books, or if you take some of this money off the books, like, you can have a better prospect, or if we pay the full money, you don't really get a prospect. Like I guess that it's all discussions they're going to have.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It's happening like right now. So I don't have much on that. You never know.
Yeah. I'm excited to see. I think he's got a lot of, if you're a ball player or if your team is in a kind of retooling year, this is a guy you could put out there and could have a big season. BBD?
Garrett Cole's having an MRI on his pitching elbow.
Okay. Sure.
Jesus.
All I've got. 1 minute to go.
I might get an MRI. I'm not worried about that at all.
People just get MRIs on their elbow all the time.
Judge winced the other day. Okay. That'll be a fun Talkin' Yanks episode coming up for that. Trev, midlife crisis? What do you want to talk about?
It's definitely not a quarter life crisis because I'm not going to live to 160.
Probably-ish.
I don't have anything to talk about, man. I go through it some days.
Yeah.
I love my kids. sad to see them growing up. I like it, but I'm also like, hey man, how many years you got left? And you really put it into perspective. So I don't know. I don't have anything. Let's end the show.
No, it's no. I'm not ready. No, we are at right around an hour, so we will wrap it up. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. 34. 34 is a kind of a bad age. Nothing.
You're like
nothing's uphill.
Third life crisis.
Yeah.
I still think I'm gonna live for a long time.
I've got you going.
Just move out to bum-fucking golf every day? I don't know. That doesn't sound bad.
I think it's all about diet. I gotta get like the sugar out is good. Alcohol is probably need to rein that in a little bit. I would say.
The diet.
Wine is so good though.
Do like boozing a little bit. Tequila? The Rock drinks tequila.